Hey everyone, just quick announcement before I share today's episode with Josh Turner. Josh's story is so inspiring and I'm excited for him to get to share that with you guys. But just want to take a minute to share the release of my first children's book of my Healthy Children's Book series called Maddox's Trip to the Chiropractor. It's a cute book with bright pictures that follows a toddler on her trip to the chiropractor. It shows her excitement and how she knows that it impacts her health in a positive way. And each purchase of the book will be supporting a project that I started called the Unlock Wellness Project. For each purchase of the book, we will be donating a wellness bag to a child in need. These wellness bags will include non-toxic, chemical-free essentials such as soap, shampoo, toothpaste, a toothbrush, items that a lot of the times children in tough situations don't have access to. We're also going to be shipping wellness bags to flood victims in Houston, Texas, and reaching out to victims of Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Maria as well. You can learn more about the book and the Unlock Wellness Project by going to drkaseyjohnson.com. That's DRKASEY Johnson.com. Click on the Shop tab, then click the Children's Book option. You'll be able to read a short description and even watch a short video with more information. You can also purchase the book directly on Amazon.com by searching Maddox's Trip to the Chiropractor. But I hope you guys love the book. Be sure to check out my website to learn more, and thank you so much for the support. Now it's time for today's episode. I hope you love my conversation with Josh Turner. Welcome to the Unlock Wellness Podcast. I'm Dr. Casey, and excited for today's guest. I'm here with Josh Turner, and Josh has completely transformed his health and his life, and Josh is just inspiring so many other people to do the same. So, Josh, thank you so much for taking time to come on. I'm excited to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Josh, just for how much of weight have you lost to date?
I've lost over 97 pounds.
That's awesome.
And for my short stature, I'm 5'4", so 97 pounds on me is a lot.
That is a lot. That's incredible.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And, Josh, just to backtrack a little bit, do you want to walk us through just what kind of led you on this just incredible lifestyle switch and, what your health looks like before you started doing all of this?
Well, when I was at 10 years old, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Well, I've been sick with that for 30 years now. So through that whole time, I've got colitis, I had neuropathy, I had things going on with my eyes. Well, I had a friend, me and him grew up together, Josh Johnny. Well, through that time, like later on in my life, I started seeing him changing, like getting skinnier and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I started looking at him and, let me get to this. I went to the doctor. My mom for years, wanted me to get healthy, do this, do that, but I only did my own thing. I didn't want to listen to anybody. I thought that, just do my own thing and I'll be all right. But actually, I wasn't doing all right. I was just killing myself.
Right.
Well, later on in life, my mom passed away and it kind of really hurt me deep down. And it made me balloon with my weight. I just went out of control with my weight. Nothing mattered. I started drinking a lot. It was a lot of stuff that I was going through.
How old were you
mentally
then,
and all kind of stuff. I was just 4 years ago, and I'm 39 now, so I was 35.
Okay.
So, and it just my whole life just went down. So one day I was looking at Josh Johnny, and I seen he was losing weight and he looked very healthy. So I went to the doctor because my hands were real tingly and stuff, and I had neuropathy. Well, I went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, your A1Cs are kind of high in 10s. And he said, but, look at yourself. He said, look at you. And I'm like, well, man, he's telling me, nobody outside of my friends or my family ever told me that.
Mm-hmm.
So I started thinking, well, man, I need to start doing something myself. Well, that day when I left that doctor's office, I went home. I had a treadmill that had been sitting on a porch for a long time. I got on that treadmill and I started walking that day.
That's
That day I changed my diet and everything. I didn't change. I didn't go completely plant-based yet, but I changed a lot of things.
Well, that's cool, Josh, that the doctor had enough confidence to like kind of call you out, because sometimes, you know, it that doesn't actually happen very often. You know, it'll be like, oh, we'll just take this drug, you're fine. Like not a lot of lifestyle direction, even though he wasn't really telling you what to do, but he kind of called you out, which is, you know, it's pretty uncommon for a lot of physicians.
You're right. And I thank him. And every time I go to him, I say, man, you really helped me. Because this doctor has been different than a lot of doctors. Because even when I told him I was plant-based, he just jumped on board with it. But that's a whole nother story.
That's awesome though. But yeah, so you started walking. So how did that kind of start to progress for you? You said you weren't plant-based quite yet, but just getting that routine in and just getting the movement in.
Well, I at first I gave up red meat right away. Dairy and red meat went away. I still ate chicken and turkey and stuff like that. But my sugars would still be high no matter what I'd done. No matter what I'd done, when I woke up the next morning, my sugars were outrageous high. So every day I was trying to keep coming back and like trying to get them back under control the whole day. So I was like trying to catch up to myself every day. Well,
I mean, you're doing insulin. You're doing insulin at this point too, right? Okay, gotcha.
Yes, ma'am. I'm type 1. My pancreas doesn't work. My autoimmune deficiency. I have an autoimmune deficiency where my autoimmune system actually attacks my pancreas, and my pancreas doesn't produce any insulin. So I have to take insulin the rest of my life. Well, I would start doing experiments, and I know it sounds kind of weird, but I started doing experiments where I would eat meat at night, and then my sugars would be high in the morning. So the next few days, I would eat nothing but vegetables. Wake up the next morning, my sugars were perfect.
Awesome.
Now you can't go and say, well, if you get rid of the thing that's happening, you know, if you have the meat in your system and that's bringing your sugars up, you can't deny that. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Like the vegetables and the plant-based, that's when I actually started going plant-based. I said, I have to change my life. I have to start going down that straight and narrow path. And then I started running a lot. I started running, like the walking went away. Like I was walking through, when I first started, I walked 3 miles a day, every day. Every single day, I still walked that 3 miles. But then them 3 miles turned from walking to jogging. Then there's jogging turning into running. Then I started like getting with Josh Ajani and his whole family are plant-based.
So awesome.
Like his whole family's plant-based. So I started talking to them. I started running with them, and everything just started clicking with me. And I started getting into 5K runs, and then I was doing pretty good. My first run, I actually ran with Josh and a few of his family members in a run, and I came under 30 minutes in a 5K. And
that's
man,
awesome.
I never ran in my life.
Right.
I came
great.
in under 30
really
minutes.
Great. Yeah.
And then my next 3 races, I came in like I kept getting better and better and better. And I'm like, well, man, something like this plant-based stuff is really working. Because when I got rid of that, I just kept getting better and better and better.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, it's really just like you were saying, you had to experiment with it at first, but it's like once you saw, I mean, like you were seeing from from checking your sugar, like it was working. So there's no, there's you can't fight that. You're seeing it. And then
exactly.
And then you're also feeling that physically. It's just really cool to see how it all plays out like that. And that's, I mean, also incredible that you have, a friend like Josh Lajani to kind of help you, to kind of help lead the way with that, because I mean, he's a great, I'm sure a great mentor for that, a great person to push you just to, and just help you along the way, because, at first it is, it's definitely a process. So having a support system like Josh and his family, I'm sure it's just been just so incredible.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. And what I wanted to say too, and those A1Cs, I don't know if you know what that is. It shows your sugars over a 3-month period. Well, mine went from 10s to a 6. This is like my doctor didn't even know what was going on. He's like, dude, what are you doing?
Right.
And I'm like, I started telling him, I said, well, first I told him I left red meat alone and I left dairy alone. Well, my sugar started going down. They started going, I think the first one I went, it was like 7 point something. And the next one was like 7 point something else. But when it got to 6, he's like, dude, I really need to know what you're doing. And I told him, I said, I have became a plant-based eater. And he said, you know, whatever you're doing is working. He said, there's nothing I can tell you that you're not doing yourself. And for him to tell me I didn't have to go back for 6 months, I've never heard a doctor ever tell me that. I used to have to go like every month or 3 months.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So how has that affected how, like, the amount of insulin that you do give yourself? Because does that decrease it, or like, how does that work for you?
It has decreased plenty.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing.
And I want to get at this too. Well, my whole life, every like nutritionist and all is like, leave carbs alone, leave them alone. And my whole life, I struggled with my sugars. When I actually started doing something myself, and all I eat is carbs now, and my sugars are the best they've ever been. There's something wrong with our nutritional system that they're telling us to. They actually would tell me to eat meat, and I'm like, after I started doing these experiments and all, and I'm like, man, this is actually killing me.
Right.
So, like, if type 2s and type 1s would hear what I'm saying, there is different ways to do this. The meat is not gonna cure anybody. It's not gonna help you at all. And I've been watching other things on Facebook where they got type 2s being plant-based, but type 1s can live with it too, because I'm living with it.
Right.
I can say you could be a plant-based eater because I'm doing it. You don't need to have that protein.
Yeah, because because people are overdoing it with the protein, and it's, you know, just destroying like your kidneys and your liver, and like, you know, two things. First, I'm glad that you brought up the carb conversation, because it's it's this whole like low carb thing. It's like it's not the answer, but just recognizing that there are good carbs and bad carbs. Like, obviously, if you're eating a bunch of junk food that's high in carbs, that's different. But if you're eating, you know, whole grain brown rice, or just whole grain rice, or quinoa, or like things like that, like that's totally different. But whenever you're looking at, probably, you know, I'm sure you went through so much research when you're going through, you know, your type 1 diabetes, and it's like, don't do carbs, but the research is going off probably like Wonder Bread and, like, you know, things like that. And it's super important to be aware that there are good carbs, and you have to differentiate the two, and obviously choose the better option.
Yes, ma'am. You are right. I just don't understand. And like, when the same doctor I was talking to you about, I asked him, I said, well, why don't you spread this word to other diabetics to help them? His hands are tied. He can't really go out there and say, well, this guy is doing it, because his hands are tied from that. So that's why I want my story to get out, so people will know there's other options. There's way more options. And Twinkies and hoo-hoos and all that is not the option.
Absolutely. No, and I'm glad that you are trying to be a voice for that, because you're right. I mean, you do hear the benefits, and which is amazing, which, you know, going after type 2 diabetes and things like that. But I mean, type 1 is a whole different ballgame. I mean, just because they're both diabetes, I mean, they're completely different things, you know, like,
yes, ma'am.
It's a whole different, you know, it's a whole different disease. It's a whole different ballgame. So I'm glad that you are going after that, because you're right. You don't hear it enough. You hear the type 2 a lot, but you're not hearing people talk about how it's affecting their type 1. Have you been keeping track of, like, just keeping all of your blood work records and things like that? That way you can really, like, have it available for people when doctors. Good. How is that?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you created like a community to, like, reach people like that using your research that you've done on yourself?
Well, I just started this journey.
Okay.
And I just got on Good Morning America. Probably people have seen me on there, but
and I definitely want to talk about that.
And I mentioned that on that show too, but I'm just getting into this where because Josh has been pushing me to talk to other people because my story is really unique. There's really not too many type 1s out there like me because I know other type 1s and it's crazy how like it's been ingrained into them how to eat and they won't listen to anything else. But if they see someone else doing it, they might say, well, look, even type 2s, because type 2s can be completely cured of their disease if they do what I'm doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Because my doctor told me, he said, if you didn't have type 1, he said, you would be cured right now. Because my sugars are so good. He sees me run all the time. He sees me in the gym. I go to the same gym as him. And he's like, man, you putting in work. Because with type 1, you have to move. Because when you move, that insulin works better. It gets in your bloodstream and it takes that sugar out of your system. So you have to move. Even if it's 30 minutes, 4 times a week, you have to move. If not, it's not going to work. You have to have a good diet and you have to move. I thought I would bring that up.
No, I'm glad you did. No, I love this. And, like I haven't had anybody on to really dive into type 1 yet. So I'm glad that you are. And I know that it's going to really help a lot of people. And, I know you said you're, this is a whole new process for you and you're just trying to get everything set up. But yeah, like, you were saying that Josh was telling you, you need to just run with it. And whether that's a Facebook group and just start promoting that. Cause I mean, there's a big community of type 1 athletes out there that really need to hear it and to hear like what you're doing and what's going to help.
Yes, ma'am. And that's what I wanted to say too. Like if you're overweight, look, I know where you're coming from, but you have to look at where I came from. When I go on a run, my sugars will drop low that I could die, but I'm still getting out there and doing it. Like there's no excuses. Get out there and you have to move. I can't stress that enough. Like I know it's hard and I know it's a lot, but one little step, it takes one step, and the first step is always the hardest step. After that, it gets easier. And I know that because I went through some some pain.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I believe it. And like you were just talking about how your sugar is affected when you are running, and running's a big part of your life now. So how have you had to like adapt to that? So whenever you're, whether you're running a race or whether you're just going out and running, because I know you did before this podcast. So like, how do you manage your sugar when you're doing like a long run, or does it really change much for you?
Well, if I run more than 3 miles, I carry these things around me. It's called Cliff Blocks. Mm-hmm. It actually brings my sugars up so they stay at a certain level the whole time that I'm running. But they have a new device called a Dexcom that I'm getting that I can monitor my sugars at all times. So if I'm running, I can see it. Yes, ma'am. It actually can sticks to my skin.
Okay.
And that's just like my insulin pump. It's stuck on me. And that's another thing. Like when I'm running, it falls off and all kinds of stuff. That's what I'm saying. I go through a lot that normal people don't go through. That I want to say that I'm normal, but I'm actually not normal. I have a normal job. I go from a 8-hour job, but I'm not normal. If that makes any sense to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've learned to adapt with it, and things that most people probably take for granted. It's, it's a little bit more effort on your part, but you've realized the importance of it if you really want a high quality of life. And, I love it.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about doing, I'm going to sign up for a half marathon in January, and that's going to be my longest run. But I've ran 10 miles. Like I run, like I'm actually on a streak right now. I've ran 14 days in a row. But I've done that many a time. I ran 30 days in a row and all that. That's what I'm saying. Like there is hope out there for people. You just got to keep your mind in the game. You can't, because the mind is the biggest part of everything. If you could keep your mind in the game, you can do anything, because your body will adapt to what you're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, we were talking a little bit about just how you had that amazing community with Josh. And I know you have other people too, like Tim Kaufman and Jason Cohen and Marcus Cook. And like, you guys were just on Good Morning America, which is really amazing. Like, how was that whole experience for you, just having the honor to go do that when your health looked completely different like a few years ago? I mean, I'm sure that just kind of blew your mind, and just kind of walk me through that whole process of how that even happened and just what the whole thing was like for you.
Well, it all started by one weekend we was called that Runners World wanted to do a photo shoot with us. Well, we all had to go out and do a photo shoot. That's where they got a big group of guys that, I don't know if you ever seen that picture where it's all of us in a picture.
Like on a picnic table or like on a bench or,
Yes. Well, they were going to put us all in the magazine. Well, stuff happened and they couldn't put us all in there. Well, our pictures got out to People's Magazine. Well, they put our picture with everybody in it. Now, I don't know if Good Morning America seen that or what happened, whatever. Well, Good Morning America called us and said they wanted us on because you don't really see too many people, like a group of people doing what we've done.
Right.
And with a great support system like we have. And the Missing Chins, and I wanted to bring them up because this is a great group of guys. They, like, if you get on the website, and I know it's a private website, but you can get in it by asking one of us or however. But you get on there and they got guys running 6 miles. That makes you want to say, if you're running 6, I want to run 7. I want to run 8. You know, it's unexplainable how good that group actually helps people.
Right.
Because they got some people that think they can't even do anything. And next thing you know, they're out there walking. They're out there running.
Yeah, and if you're listening and you haven't seen the story yet or know what Josh is talking about, they have a Facebook group it's a private group, but like he was saying, if you reach out if it's something that that you're interested in, but it's just it's a support group of people that are just guys that are trying to get in shape and push each other, like he was saying with their running and just posting their
and they talk about food, everything.
Yeah. So that's amazing. And like just through, what's the weight loss? I forget, like the total weight loss that you lost as a group. It's something I know it's something crazy.
Well, actually, we were actually discussing this the other day in the group, and it was 60 people that we talked to. It was like almost 6,000 pounds. And they have 122 so in the group now.
That's so crazy. So obviously gone up, but like, that's so incredible. I mean, just the impact that is making. I mean, that's really how you make a larger impact. Just bigger than yourself.
Yes, ma'am. And and actually, like the people that are in there, they'll get in there, and like if a person's having a bad day, they say, I had those bad days. It gets better. It gets better. And a lot of people don't have that support. Like, they really don't. They just sit in their house and they have no one to talk to. And that's a way for them to talk to someone. So it is really a great group.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And what would you say? I know that, as far as the community aspect, you had, a pretty amazing community to help support you. But like, what would you say were the biggest struggles through your process so far?
The biggest struggles were the mental part, the mental part. And like with me, and I hate to bring it up, but I still have to bring it up because people would tell me, hey man, just eat a little bit of meat. It was the peer pressure of people because like it's been mentioned before, we're from South Louisiana and everything revolves around food. Everything revolves. It could be a funeral, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, whatever. It revolves around food. And everything here it's mostly meat. Everything is meat here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the biggest struggle for me of people saying, you got to eat this and you got to eat that. And I'm like, well, I don't eat that way anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. And, it was a struggle for me. And, but I used that. Every time I went on a run, I said, I'm going to run and I'm going to keep running and I'm going to show them I can do this. And I'm going to show them I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. And you know what? It's cool because like the fact that your mindset was at a place to where you see a story like, like what Josh LaJohnie is doing, and like, he's a close friend of yours. And you're seeing his, like how the choices that he's making is is getting him to a place where you want to be. Like, even though it's, it's plant-based, you guys are in Louisiana, like, I feel like it would either be one end of the spectrum reaction or the other. It's like, you saw that and you're like, let's go. Some other people see that and be like, oh, well, I can't do that. Like, I can't give up cheese. I can't give up chicken or, whatever. But like but it's crazy to see like where people are at with their mindsets, to where they either make that all in decision or they're like, I can never do that. You know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am. Because, and like right away, I gave up dairy products right away because I watched Forks Over Knives. I watched What the Health. I watched a bunch of documentaries, and those things are really saving people's lives because I watched that and it started making sense. I'm like, when I forgot which doctor said, if a baby cow is born at 150 pounds and 3 months later it weighs 800 pounds, what is it doing to you? That makes sense to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That really gets deep down in your brain and you say, well, something's got to give.
Right. No, that's an amazing point to bring up. And do you think, I don't know how much, I know you gave up dairy at first, and kind of to go back to diabetes for just a second, but like with the hormone levels that's in dairy, like the high amounts, I know you said that, your sugars did get better when you got rid of dairy, but I'm just wondering if you've done much research on the correlations of the high hormonal levels in dairy with your type 1.
No, I really haven't. I'm going to have to really start getting into that because I really want to see what it really, because like my blood work is like very, very good, because I remember my triglycerides and all, everything is off the charts good, because he even said that, he's like, my blood pressure's going. I had high cholesterol. That is completely gone. Like, I think my cholesterol is like 91, the good one, or I mean the bad one, whatever that is. But I think it's 91 or something like that. I forgot exactly what it was, but the neuropathy's gone. I had colitis. That was, I couldn't even, I wanted to talk about that one because that's where, when I got really big, I couldn't move. On Sundays, I wouldn't even get out of the chair and I wouldn't move. And they kept telling me, you got to stay away from greens, because that's going to mess with your intestines, because that's what colitis is, the inflammation of your intestines. Well, when I gave up dairy and I gave up red meat, I mean, like a month later, I was up and moving. I know I got up and I walked on a treadmill, but I got up and I wasn't hurting moving. I started moving and I kept on moving, and it just got better and better and better. Now I don't even have it anymore. Like, they don't even know why, or it blows my mind why our like doctors now doesn't know anything about nutrition.
Right.
Because that actual food is medicine. And I want everyone to know that food is medicine.
Yeah. No, I know it is crazy. And like, I think that could be a whole episode itself, because it's just the right required education just isn't there. I think people are starting to kind of realize that. But I mean, if you go to medical school, probably 99% of the time, they aren't required to take a nutrition class. It's an elective. And even with that, it's not, most aren't being taught the right things, or they're being taught a lot of like things that are considered more fads. You know what I mean? So
you're right.
And most of the education is actually coming from a drug rep who is going to benefit for a very long time, from this future class of doctors. Yes. Yeah. So it's hard because the system's just backwards right now, and the education's coming from the people who benefit financially, which is, it's a scary way to go. So, but I think with, like you were saying, with the power of documentaries and all of this information coming out, I think it is heading in a positive direction. It's just, it's going to be a process for sure.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So where's that half marathon you're looking at?
It's going to be the Louisiana half marathon.
That's cool. And you said that was in January?
January, I think it's 16th or 14th. And I wanted to say this too, because my brother, Nathan Turner, and I want to bring up his name because he's a runner. He was in the military, and, and I'm probably going to get a little emotional on this one too, but he used to ask me to go run with him all the time. And you know what? Plant-based gave me back my family, because I run with him now, and me and him have spent a lot of time. He's actually went to plant-based restaurants with me and ate with me and all. And, you know, I get to spend time with him and on a different level because I never got to do that with him. And I asked him the other day if he would run that race with me, and he said he would do it. So I want to bring up his name. I'm sorry if I wasn't supposed to or not.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, no, I'm glad you did, and you guys are gonna do amazing. I'm excited to follow you guys when when you guys do that and post all the pictures, and that's amazing.
Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome. So what do you have coming up in the future? Just keep putting out just great content, putting out what you're working on, or like, do you have anything that you want to share with people?
Well, one day I want to get to a full marathon because awesome. I don't think there's too many type 1s out there that have done it. They probably have, but I don't know of them.
Yeah.
And I want to reach out because I've actually been talking to diabetics that message me on Facebook, and I talk to every single one of them because they don't know. And there's not too many of them that know about this. So if they want to contact me on Facebook, I will definitely talk to them. If I can't get to them that day, I will get to them. And I just want to spread the word about what's going on with me.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously they want somebody that's actually living through it, not just writing. Like, obviously, the textbooks are important, but I mean, you're actually living it and seeing what works for you and what doesn't, and people respect that. So I think it's going to make a really, really huge impact.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and Josh, what is the best way for people to follow you on social media? That way they can reach out to you on Facebook and Instagram and just keep up with, the things that you're doing. That way they can, you're just leading by example. So what's the best way for people to follow you?
I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. I don't have a Twitter, I don't think. I might have one, but I don't never use it.
All right, cool. Yeah, and I'll put both of those names in the show notes for Instagram and Facebook. What do you know them right off? Your Instagram and Facebook name? Well, Facebook's just your name.
My Facebook's Joshua Turner. Yeah, my actual name's Joshua Turner. But everybody calls me Josh Turner, but I can't sing with a lick.
That's funny. Awesome. And then, Josh, just closing question that I ask every guest. But if you just had one piece of advice for the audience, maybe it was something that's been your biggest takeaway through this whole journey, but if you just had one piece of advice to give, what would it be?
Get up, take one step. That first step is always the hardest one. But after you take that first one, they get easier. You have to get up and move. You're not going to be able to sit on the couch or watch TV all day and happen like, it's not just going to happen to you. You have to get up to do it.
Awesome. No, I love it. That's perfect. And Josh, I'm just excited just to follow you on social media, keep up with everything that you're doing, because I know you're just going to make such a huge impact. So thank you so much for taking time to come on.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with Josh. His story is just so inspiring, and the work that he's doing is just amazing. So I'm excited for you to get to follow him on social media to keep up with everything that he's doing. You can find the social media links that we talked about in the episode in the show notes, but you can also find them on my website as well at drkaseyjohnson.com. That's DRKASEY Johnson.com. Click on the Listen tab. Then from there, you'll be able to see all of the past guests that have come on the Unlock Wellness podcast, read a little bit about each guest, and be able to click on their social media links, their websites, all of that. So all of Josh's information can be found on my site as well. If you guys loved today's episode with Josh, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. And like I spoke about in the intro, also be sure to check out my first children's book of my Healthy Children's Book series called Maddox's Trip to the Chiropractor. Each purchase of the book supports the Unlock Wellness Project, which supplies a wellness bag to a child in need for each book purchased. You can learn more about the book and the Unlock Wellness Project on my website as well at drkaseyjohnson.com. Click on the Shop tab, then choose the Children's Book option. You'll be able to read a short description and even watch a short video to learn more. If you do purchase the book, be sure to share it on social media using the hashtag UWProject. I'll repost it and give you a shout out on the podcast. Also, if you're on Facebook, be sure to follow me, at Dr. Casey Johnson. Same thing, it's Casey with a K. We actually just launched a 30-day running challenge, and it's 30 days of running, and it's just all about consistency. So whether you're running for 3 minutes, whether you're running for 3 hours, whether you physically can't run and you have to walk, it's just all about consistency and getting just a 30-day running streak in. So today's actually day 2, but if you're listening to this today, feel free to jump in and use the hashtag UW30days. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to check that out on my Facebook page or Instagram page. Both are at Dr. Casey Johnson. But hope to see you guys in the running challenge. I hope you love the book. I hope you love today's episode. Thank you so much for the support. And just thank you guys so much for tuning in.